Weep Grana, Weep Ninny Bong, and welcome back to Justin Network. Today we're going to be looking at Transformers Legacy Evolution Detritus. He's a deluxe class. And what's very interesting about Detritus here, got him for Ross by the way, $7.99. Keep an eye out, you Ross lovers out there. But interesting thing about him is that there's not a whole lot of technical lore on Detritus. He doesn't have a whole lot of showing up in Transformers media. He is a bit of a deep cut of a character, you could say, right? One thing that is, though, very interesting about this character, going to give a little bit of a backstory for him here so you guys have a little idea of who he is. He is a Junkion from the planet of Junk. He left the planet of Junk and became a mercenary. He works really for any side that'll hire him. He is more of a Decepticon type than an Autobot type. He's an arms dealer. He hopes to one day be able to return to the planet of Junk and overthrow Wreck-Gar to be the planet of Junk's new ruler. And I think one thing that's interesting here, when you're looking at him, Autobot symbol, right? He's more of a Decepticon, like I said, really unaffiliated, I guess, technically, but his packaging shows Decepticon and such, so we call him a Decepticon.
Well, not exactly.
And look at that, Decepticon symbol right there. He has both symbols, not an error. That was intentional to kind of show his unaffiliation or more of his, he'll work with either side, right? So, would like to take a close look at his face here. As you can see, he's got a little goatee, which is very cool. I like that a lot. I didn't realize that until very recently, actually, after I'd already bought the figure. But yeah, pretty good looking bot. The colors are really good. I think they all meld together pretty well. He's definitely got a Junkion look. And the back here, little open, not gonna lie. Don't love the back, but the front, it looks pretty good. And as you saw, pretty good posability. Let's test a couple things out for science. That is a good T-pose, if I do say so myself. Now how about we try and see if he can do the infamous, or should I say the famous, Jean-Claude Van Damme. And not only that, he's got the rolling Jean-Claude Van Damme. What? That's kind of crazy. Never seen one of him before. This guy's got the skills that pays the bills. You know what I'm saying?
Not really.
You know what I'm saying. This guy's got some moves. Anyways, so yeah, that's kind of a good look of him here in his bot mode. How about we take a little look at his accessories? So, he does have 3 different accessories here. By the way, these are painted, so do be careful with them. There's going to be some sticking if they're held together in a certain spot for long periods of time. But he's got this little blaster, right? It goes right here in his hand. Well, it's a little tight, but you can get it. You just gotta take it easy and slide that bad boy in there.
Can we keep it family friendly?
And then you've got this, correct, right, slide, and kapow. There you go. Awesome. Okay, so now this will plug into either of those holes on his shoulder, gives him a much more complete look, just even more of a Hound doppelganger this way. You know what I'm saying? You guys remember Hound. This is definitely a bit of a Hound doppelganger, probably a character that was made, to be honest, just to reuse the Hound mold back in the day. And then also, you can do a little Evo fusion here and combine these two, so now it looks more like a rocket launcher of sorts. And you've got that bigger, more powerful top looking weapon, but I like them better apart personally. So we'll say this is a little bit of an older mold. This is the Siege Hound mold, and I'm gonna lie, I'm really surprised at the articulation, how good it looks. Now his feet, that's a bit of an issue there, and the back is pretty hollow, but overall I'm very tickled with this bot mode so far. How about we measure him up? Can't finish the bot mode without measuring him up, right? So from the ground to the top of his head, he's going to be about 5 1/4 inches, but if you go to the top of the blaster there, it's going to be closer to 5 3/8 inches. Width shoulder to shoulder, of course. It's going to be about 3 inches, almost exactly. So now, how about we transform him, see what he's working with in the alt mode. And here is the junkie on Mercenary Detritus in his alt mode. And I'm gonna say there's some things about this alt mode I like, some things about this alt mode I don't quite care for. So let's start off by saying it is not officially licensed by Jeep. That's why it looks like a Jeep, but you can tell this isn't exactly a Jeep. It's because they did not get the licensing to just straight up make it a Jeep, which unfortunately that's the way it goes with a lot of the legacy line and things like that. More of the mainline figures they don't really do that with. So the bottom we'll start off with pretty open, pretty hollow looking. Just see his arms right there, his head's just right there, and don't love it, right? From the side, it's got an okay profile. You can totally just see an arm under there. That's a little unfortunate, right? From the top, very open right there. I wish there was something that covered that. Probably upgrade kit you can get to do that, I would assume. You can just see a blank screw right there. And this looks a little, I don't know, a little empty or something, right? From the back, okay, but big opening right there. And then from the front, pretty solid but pretty plain looking right there. It needed a little more paint detail or something. So I don't know, I'm gonna say I'm a little disappointed with this alt mode so far. Not quite the level I was expecting. It just looks off. I feel like you can look at it and see the same thing I'm seeing, and just something looks a little off. And it could just be because it's not an actual Jeep. It's unlicensed. It's like a knockoff Jeep. That might be why something just feels a little off. But the wheels roll. You know what I'm saying? And they all roll pretty well, pretty thin and a little, not flimsy, but you know, not the sturdiest wheels I've ever seen. But they do roll and roll pretty solid. He's got a little...
Oh yeah!
Here comes Detritus. Junkie on with the grudge. It is Detritus.
Yeah!
He has a little bit of a lean when you roll him. He wants to go to one side, but you gotta see what's going on here with this mode overall. As you can see, I'm really hating how open that is right now. Right there. Right there. It looks like there's just something missing, and I do not like that. That's very frustrating. Let's talk about the weapon storage, right? Sure, there's spots for his weapons to go, right? Well, there absolutely is. You can put that one right there, very tight, but that one right there, right? Or you could always put them, instead of on top, how about on the side here? You can put it right there, right? Or how about on the side there? Also an option for them to plug into. Doesn't go quite as deep, but it's an option. He's got multiple places. I mean, he's a weapons arms dealer, right? So he should have the weaponry and should have the storage for that weaponry. Am I right or am I right? I'm absolutely right. So that's kind of what you're working with here in his alt mode. How about we measure him out while we've got him here before we transform him back? That is going to be straight up about 4 inches.
Right, take it down a notch.
Probably 4 1/4 inches. Pretty close to it if we're measuring all the way to the tip of that. Then width-wise,
That's what she said.
going to be about 2 3/4 inches, or pretty darn close. But that Decepticon symbol there looks great. Very bright and looks very official and nice looking for the fellow known as Detritus. How about we transform him back? Alright, and here's Detritus back in his bot mode. As you could see, had a little bit of a hard time transforming back. It was a little harder transforming back for some reason. It just Felt like it was falling apart and stuff didn't want to go right back in, but that's what you get, I guess, when you got a lot of tabbing going on like this figure does. But you know, just a little wear and tear, pretty normal for a Junkion, right? You know what they say about Junkions, right? You know what they say? I know what they say. They say it ain't about knocking them down, it's about getting them to stay down. That's the hard part.
It's not hard to knock them down. It's getting them to stay down that's the trick.
And this fella's a good indication of that. Now, we shall get some size comparisons so we can see how he looks against other classes, right? How about Legacy Bomb Burst? This is a core class figure, right? And you can see pretty big size difference. Pretty big size difference. Now, Studio Series Gamer Edition, Deluxe class, Cliff Jumper, right? A little bit of a size difference, not a lot, but they are both Deluxe classes, so they should be pretty close in height. Now, Legacy United Cyberverse Tarn. He's a Voyager class. You see, pretty good size difference there. But these two look pretty good together. I could see Detritus working for Tarn. And then last but not least, we got him with a leader class. Thundercracker from Combiner Wars, right? You see, pretty good size difference. You could almost put two Detrituses on top of each other to make the same height that Thundercracker stands. Alright, so now we get to rank this bad boy, and we're going to start off our rankings with functionality. Remember, functionality is going to be about his articulation, his posing, his accessories, the accessory storage, correct? So in this department, I think the fella did pretty darn good. He's got some good accessories. Storage is great in both modes, and I'll show you here. Don't think I showed you this earlier. Actually, I know I didn't. If you don't want him to be holding the blaster, you could hide it away right there. You could hide it away right there. You could hide it away right there or right there. Got place on place on place to put that weapon on him. And I think that would be cool to get a bunch of extra weapons for him since he is an arms dealer and just plug it in all those holes. I think that would give him a nice extra look where he's less plain. He's got a little bit of open plain look to him. So I think that that would add a little something to him, right? But he's also got pretty good posing. And he's got very good articulation. You take a little bit off the posing because his feet are a little funny and it makes him a hard time to just stay straight flat. But his articulation is very good. He's got practically anything you'd want. The feet doesn't have a whole lot of articulation to it. Next to none, I guess, really. But he does have the hand. He's got right here at the bicep. He's got at the
Low battery.
waist. He's got his head. He's got a lot of articulation there. So for Deluxe class, pretty darn good. I was impressed with his articulation for sure.
An 8.
Next up, we're going to grade his transformation. Alright, so transformation is going to be based upon how hard the transformation was to do, how easy it was, how fun it was, and we'll grade the creativity, right? That'll go into this grading process that we have for Detritus here. And I went with a 7. Why did I go with a 7? Well, I think the transformation back and forth was okay. Not super hard, but not super easy either. There's a lot of tabbing. You know I'm not a huge fan of tabbing, and this figure does have quite a bit of it. The creativity though, thought was fairly high. I thought that the way this like whole foot part just comes out, it was pretty nice. The whole deal with his head and such, pretty nice. I like how this folds up and down. Pretty nice again, right? Then the fun aspect of it, pretty decently fun. I don't think it was super fun. Don't think it was super not fun. I think it was just kind of neutral when it came to the fun meter, I guess you could say. And you know, I go back and forth here a little bit with his transformation. I thought about a 7, thought about a 6. I think you could really go either way, and I wouldn't fault you for going a 7, and I think it's really close, like really close. But I'm going to go 7. Even as I'm talking, I'm debating it, but I'm going to go 7. And we're going to stop it right there before I change my mind. One other thing I do want to point out, this dude totally says Autobot and Decepticon on his instructions. And I did not realize it also shows it on the box, Autobot and Decepticon. So I'm actually going to say here that Detritus is neither Autobot or Decepticon. He's just straight mercenary. I don't think we should count him as a Decepticon. I think we should just... Or should we? I don't know which one we should count him as. So is this like a free episode, or does this count as one of our Decepticon episodes that go in our pattern? Like, I'm not for sure there, and I'm gonna debate it all the way until I post it, or even past that maybe. I think he's more Decepticon because he does want to like overthrow Wreck-Gar. He doesn't have like great morals. He's a bad guy. So I think we go Decepticon here, even though I guess technically he's a mercenary that could work for either one. I mean, Lockdown's like that too, technically, right? So, and Lockdown's not an Autobot. We call Lockdown a Decepticon. So I'm going to call him Decepticon. But he definitely could go either way, I guess. It just depends on how you're feeling. But to me, he feels like a bad guy. So he goes on the bad guy side. Sorry for that little side business there. But we do need to finish up his rankings and talk about his appearance, right? Appearance is the last category. Appearance is based around how well does he depict the character he's supposed to be looking like? How good does he look in this mode? How good does he look in his alt mode? I gave him a 6. Alright, I understand. Y'all might be a little surprised at that, right? But I think he has problems. I think this looks very good. From the front here, looks very good. Slightly empty, but very good. The back is pretty rough. And his alt mode was very rough overall, I thought. I was very disappointed in his alt mode. The bottom was super hollow. You know, that part right there bothered me so much on the alt mode. And it just looked off. And I guess it was, you know, partly because this isn't an actual Jeep. It wasn't licensed. But it just felt not quite right. Like, it just felt off in his alt mode by a lot. It almost had an unfinished look to it, which I'm not a fan of unfinished looks. You get that in the alt mode from time to time, and I just do not like that. But I think he looked okay, right? He looks pretty good in this mode. I love the goatee. They did some nice detailing for sure. Alt mode, kind of meh. Then you're gonna like say, hey, well, does he look like Detritus, like the character of Detritus, right? Well, that's a hard spot. So Detritus doesn't really show up very often at all in media. Very, very little. He was in IDW a little bit. I mean, there wasn't much to his appearances. So that means that it was really hard to find what he looks like. Official art of him, right? So I did my best, searched across the internet. I came up with a couple pictures here, a couple different things. And I'm going to base them on what I found. And if I base them on what I found, he kind of looks like him. I mean, he looks, you can tell it's supposed to be him, but it's not super accurate. Not super accurate at all, especially in that alt mode. So, because of all that, put it all together, I gave him a 6. You could have argued a 7. I think he deserves the 6. I think this bot mode, if you just have him sitting like that right there, very, very good. I think that's fair because when I first looked at it, I was like, man, this is actually really awesome. But the more I dove deep into him, looked at his back, looked at his alt mode, it just wasn't there for me. I was really let down with the rest of it because this made me think, oh, this figure is awesome. So let's see what you all think. Put it in the comments, let me know. I know this figure didn't sell very well. It was a shell former, that's why it's showing up at Ross for $7.99. I don't think really anyone has much of a connection to the character of Detritus. He's not been in a lot of stuff, so I understand why this didn't sell well, but I think it maybe should have sold a little better than what it did, because like I said, I don't think this is a bad figure at all. I think it's above average for sure. I think he does some things really well, but I think he has some glaring issues that bring him down. Want to know what you all think? Please comment like you guys have been. I want to say I appreciate the comments. I want to say I appreciate the likes. Appreciate the shares. Appreciate the subscriptions. This is a thing that I do because I enjoy it. I enjoy entertaining people. I enjoy helping people by showing them kind of what they could be getting before they get it, just so they don't regret buying things, right? And I definitely usually try to stick to the lower end Transformers when it comes to price, so that people that don't have a whole lot of money to spend on Transformers aren't wasting them on Transformers that they're gonna regret have got because they're just not good, right? You know what I mean? That's to a degree what I'm doing with this channel, and I hope you guys appreciate that because I really enjoy doing these videos. They really make me happy. I enjoy doing them, getting to spread my creative wings a little bit. It's something that I don't get to do in my everyday life super often, so I'm glad that this is giving me that outlet. Please keep on coming back. Keep on doing what you're doing. Keep on supporting the channel. I highly appreciate you. And that's gonna leave me now with a till all are one. Peace.